Looks like we're good to go. Lisa? Lisa, are we,
just waiting for
good? Oh, okay. I
Yes,
saw something
we are
a
good
minute
now.
ago that said, all right, there we go. Very good. Thank you. Going ahead and calling this Western Riverside County Programs and Projects Committee meeting of February 27th, 2023, calling the meeting to order at 1:30. May we please have a roll call?
Absolutely. District 1,
District 1 here.
District 2, Banning,
Oh, I'm here, yes.
Corona,
Present and accounted for.
Eastvale,
Present.
Hemet,
I am here.
Harupa Valley,
Here.
Menifee,
Menifee's here.
Norco, Harris,
Here.
Riverside,
Up and ready.
Wildemar,
Here.
District 2.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum.
Excellent. Moving along to Pledge of Allegiance. Let's see. How about Aaron Hake? Would you like to lead us in the pledge today?
I'd be happy to, sir. Please rise, join after me. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay. I don't think we need to go into all the housekeeping. We're all pretty familiar with how Zoom works. We will have to do roll call votes for everybody. And for the record, please state your name when making a motion or a second. And if you have any questions beyond that, now would be a great time to ask them. Aside from that, we'll just move along to public comments. Seeing no hands raised, we'll move to item 4, public comments. Are there any public comments or people wishing to speak, or anybody that's on the line right now wishing to speak on items not on the agenda?
I'm currently not seeing any hands raised. If you're on the phone, you would hit *9 to raise your hand. We did not receive any written comments on items not on the agenda, and I still do not see any hands raised.
Okay, very good. We will close item 4, public comments. Moving along to item 5, additions and revisions. Were there any additions or revisions to this agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, then we are off and running. Item 6, consent calendar. There's one item on it, but are there any questions or corrections by any of my colleagues or members of the public on this item?
So moved, Eastvale.
Menifee second.
Eastvale moves. Okay, Eastvale moves, Menifee seconds. May we please have a roll call vote?
I do see a hand raised from Mayor Vargas.
I was
Okay.
going to make the motion, but people jumped on me and didn't follow protocols, but that's okay.
All right, next time, we'll get you next time. All right, then roll call vote, please.
District 1,
You're muted.
Sorry, I was saying, I do not feel sorry for the mayor. Aye.
District 2,
Aye.
Banning,
Aye.
Corona,
Aye. And how can you feel sorry for anyone that has a beard like that? Come on.
Eastvale,
Aye.
Hemet,
Yes.
Harupa Valley,
Yes.
Menifee,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Riverside,
Yes.
Wildemar.
Yes.
Thank you. The consent calendar passes.
Excellent. Off to item number 7, Riverside Downtown Metrolink Station Improvement Project status. This is going to be presented, I believe, by David Lewis.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. My name is David Lewis, and I am your Capital Project Manager. The item before you today is to provide a status update and staff recommendation for the Riverside Downtown Station Improvements Project. Next slide, please. This project, along with other Paris Valley Line capacity improvements, are identified for Riverside County in Metrolink's Southern California Optimized Rail Expansion Program, also known as SCORE, which is a $10 billion capital improvement program to increase commuter rail service and to achieve the 30-minute service across the system. The project environmental and design activities are currently funded by an FTA grant. Approximately $4 million has been spent by the Commission on the project to date. Metrolink, in partnership with the Commission, secured a $856 million competitive grant award from the Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program, also TIRCIP, for the SCORE program, of which 14.5 million is intended for the construction of the station improvements. The Commission, along with FTA, the NEPA lead agency, commenced the environmental process for the project in November of 2019, and the draft EIR was circulated from December 2021 through February 2022 for public review and comment. Throughout the process, the Commission conducted public and stakeholder outreach. Next slide, please. Station improvements at the Riverside Downtown are needed to avoid conflicts with freight train traffic, reduce delays, and allow for the future Metrolink service expansion in line with the region's goal to achieve passenger train frequency of every 30 minutes during peak periods. The ultimate goal is to provide for sustainable population and economic growth through increased availability and reliability of public transportation alternatives to driving. Such public transit service would benefit traffic congestion, quality of life, and environmental considerations such as reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and particulate matter. Increasing rail service is also a component of the region's strategy to bring more employment opportunities to Riverside County. Next slide, please. Here is an aerial exhibit of the existing station and surrounding environment. Starting out to the left, I would like to point to the SR 91 freeway, moving right to the station's main parking lot and to the mainline train tracks. Then you will see the FMC and Solar Max buildings along with the East Side neighborhood. Next slide, please. To visualize how close the existing tracks are to the adjacent building, here is an exhibit that shows the current track configuration and adjacent building. Next slide, please. The project expands platform capacity and improves operations efficiency, connectivity, and the passenger experience at the station. The improvements include adding a passenger loading platform and tracks and extending the pedestrian overpass to access the new platform. Pedestrian access and parking improvements along Howard Avenue are also proposed as part of the project. The proposed project focuses on improvements primarily on the east side of the station and tracks. The Burlington Northern Santa Fe, or BNSF, which is the host railroad, requires commuter trains to be located on the east side of the tracks to eliminate crossover movements that would impede freight trains and to have the commuter trains deboard off of BNSF's mainline tracks. It's important to note that this operational requirement precludes the expansion of this station along Vine Street side. This exhibit is a schematic of the project that shows the track improvements that are part of the project. You can see the existing platforms in black and the existing tracks in dark gray. The new tracks and the new platform are in red, and these new tracks allow for more trains to be parked off the BNSF main lines and next to the platforms for passenger loading and unloading. The pedestrian overcrossing bridge would be extended to the new platform. This is shown in orange. The gray box with the dashed outline in the center of the picture is where the FMC building, built in 1938, is located. The proposed tracks go through part of that building. Next slide, please. Currently, the project team is addressing the public and agency comments received during the public review period for the draft EIR. Further, the team is coordinating with the FTA to complete the environmental assessment and with the State Historical Preservation Officer, also known as SHPO, to complete the Section 106 process of the National Historic Preservation Act due to the potential impact to historic properties. Through the course of the environmental review process and technical evaluation of the project team has discovered significant challenges to constructing the project, and new information regarding the cost of right-of-way have led to escalating estimates for the total project cost. The total project cost, which includes environmental, engineering, right-of-way, and construction tasks, is now estimated to be in the range of $140 to $156 million, depending on which design option is selected. During the initial scoping phase for the project, the estimated total project cost was $26 million. The significant cost increases for the project are mostly attributed to the high cost of right-of-way acquisition and relocation. To better understand how the early estimates were developed, in the late 1990s, the Riverside Downtown Station was expanded and the existing platform tracks and pedestrian bridge were constructed. These improvements required acquisition and demolition of a portion of the FMC building, now occupied by Prism Aerospace and other businesses. This original expansion only required a small section of the building to be removed. During the scoping phase for this current project, the project team assumed that it could be performed again and a portion of the building could remain. This resulted in a much lower right-of-way cost estimate in the order of around $12 million. And during the early stages of the development of the environmental document, the project team assessed the FMC building and determined that in its current condition and with the proposed project, the building would need to be fully acquired and removed, as the cost to bring up the building to current building code standards would be cost prohibitive and not support the current building operations. Due to this determination, a revised cost estimate was developed by reviewing the current building operations, equipment present, building size required, and the relocation. The estimated right-of-way cost is now $85 million, with a potential $30 to $50 million relocation cost for one of the impacted businesses. It should be noted that the relocation cost is only a preliminary estimate and would be dependent on a number of factors and conditions, with the potential for the cost to exceed this estimated range. In addition, during the environmental review of the site, it was determined that the FMC building is underlain by contaminated soils that would need to be remediated as part of the project. This was also not envisioned during the planning level estimate and has resulted in the increase in the current estimated project cost. Next slide, please. The increase in the estimated project costs attributed to the right-of-way relocation and remediation, coupled with a narrowing timeline to use federal and state funds programmed, it is staff's professional conclusion that there is no project alternative that is financially or operationally feasible. Therefore, staff recommends that the commission suspend all environmental and engineering related tasks on the project until such a time that the project is financially reasonable and feasible. Next slide, please. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions, and I thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lewis. And we will go ahead. I see hands raised. I see Chuck Condor. I see yours is first, so go ahead.
Yeah, Chair, I'll wait to see if we have any public comments on this first, and then when it's time for the discussion, I'll jump it back in.
Okay. I'll just clarify then. Are there any questions for staff? Any questions for staff at this point from my colleagues? Okay, Mayor Vargas.
Thank you, Chair. Just real quick, because I received a lot of calls from constituents of that area concerning about this FMC building. Has it been deemed a historical building?
Yeah, yes. Thank you for the question, Mayor Vargas. Yes, it has been deemed a historic building.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right, we'll move to public comments. Are there any public comments on record and or anybody that's on the line right now that wishes to speak on this item? Madam Clerk, are you seeing anybody? I am not.
I apologize, I was muted. We did not receive any written comments on this item, nor do I see any hands raised on this item from members of the public.
Excellent. So we'll bring it back to the dais. All right, Chuck, I think you were next in the queue, so please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Well, first of all, I want to thank David and Director Mayer and all of the staff that have worked for so many years on this project. And it's sort of an apology too. I know it was the city of Riverside that came to RCTC back in the early 2000s and asked that they look for a way to expand that downtown project. Many hours and an awful lot of money has been dedicated to this. And in the last year or so, some other people have stepped in and have tried to determine that it just wasn't the right place to do it. That aside, in my conversations with Director Mayer, the costs of the relocation of the main building, the main company that is there, it's staggering. It's absolutely staggering what it would cost us. So unfortunately for now, this is the right move. I think you've looked at every angle of how this could continue on, but the cost of moving that company and then the remediation of the contaminated soils that would be there, it just makes it absolutely untenable. So I'd make the motion that we accept staff's recommendations with great thanks to all those that have worked for almost 2 decades on this project. Thank them for their all the hard work they did. That's it, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Condor. And then Supervisor Spiegel.
Kind of go along with the words that Mr. Connor just shared. Thanks, staff, for all the efforts and us reaching out to the communities, the community meetings. I mean, it was pretty extensive, and thank you, Ann. You know, when you deal with the historical building, even if it's not one that will stand up, I think Wes and I have gone over this for years in Corona, and it's tough when a building is not going to be able to continue on in a historical vein, but the cost of those to get it back into shape and the cost of moving, it just got, and the remediation of the property was so costly. This doesn't mean it's got to die forever. If something happens in the near future and Riverside wants to step back up and maybe be a contributing partner to it with the expansion, there's always that possibility. But I agree with Mr. Condor and that it just is cost prohibitive.
Thank you very much for those comments. Are there any other members, colleagues wishing to speak? Mayor Vargas, your hand is up.
Thank you. I'd just like to second Commissioner Condor's motion.
Okay. And then I'm just going to make a comment because several of us sit on the Metrolink board. The SCORE program is a $10 billion program. Metrolink is seeking federal and state funding to make all kinds of improvements by 2028. And, it's sad that we have to put this one back on the shelf for the moment, but, who knows, maybe before the Olympics, we'll get some extra funding, or maybe this tenant their terms will expire and they move somewhere else and the building then becomes, reasonably priced. Who knows? Lots of possibilities, and hopefully we just keep it on the shelf till it's time to come back and surface. We do have a motion and a second.
Hey, Brian, before you get too far, can you just check with the clerk real quick?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Chair Bergson. It looks like we did have some people physically raising their hands, not using the Zoom, and I just want to make sure that everyone was addressed. I had a look like a commissioner and possibly a member of the public. Would you like me to call on who I saw?
Yes, please do. I did not see those, so okay. Yes, please.
I apologize, I didn't see them either. The first person that I saw raising their hand, it says Stribble1 at student.rcc.edu. Were you wanting to speak, ma'am?
I just wanted to, I have a question. Was the city aware of all of the transactions that was going on with the building of the elementary school and with RCTC project? Was the city of Riverside aware and approved all of this going on?
So,
I can answer,
oh,
I can
sorry,
answer that. I
Richard.
can answer that.
Go
The
ahead.
city was aware of the actions by RUSD, yes.
Okay.
And could I add, when we first started this project, there was no elementary school proposed in that neighborhood. So the RUSD elementary school, to my knowledge, still hasn't, I don't know if they're in the CEQA or the environmental process yet, but when we started our project there, we were unaware of any intentions for an elementary school in that neighborhood.
Well, that's my question, because the city was aware of it being approved. When the school district start buying the property around there to put in the elementary school.
I think the school district hadn't started the process yet when our project started. I
Right.
don't know when they started buying land. They don't have an environmental document yet. I do know that.
Were you aware that it had been approved, that area had been approved for an elementary school?
It had not been approved when we started the project. I know the school district is now starting to buy property, but they don't have an environmental document. They haven't done any public hearings to our knowledge. So we found out about the school when we went out for our public review period.
Have anybody in this, with this, contacted the school district to see where they are right now with the building of the elementary school?
We have. We have.
Okay,
And the school district provided us a letter. So the school district provided us a letter during the public review period of our project. So they provided comments, and they've provided a second letter of comments, and we have met with the superintendent as well as the school board president.
okay, because there are some environmental issues of noise, pollution, and everything with the elementary school being in that area.
So the school district will have to analyze the impacts of the elementary school being built next to the railroad tracks, but our platform project will be suspended. So their project will have to address whatever concerns there are related to the school being next to the existing railroad tracks.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I did also see Commissioner Flynn. Were you raising your hand?
No, I'm sorry, that was a mistake. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Okay.
I can, thank you. And at this point, Chair, I am not seeing anyone else raising their hand via Zoom or physically.
Okay. With that, we will go ahead. We do have the motion and the second to recommend suspending the environmental and engineering tasks on this project. Can we please have a roll call?
District 1,
District 1, yes.
District 2,
Yes.
Banning,
Yes.
Corona,
Aye.
Eastvale,
Aye.
Hemet,
Yes.
Harupa Valley,
Yes.
Menifee,
Yes.
Norco,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Riverside,
Yes.
Wildemar,
Yes.
thank you. Item 7 passes. And I do see a hand up from Supervisor Jeffries.
Supervisor Jeffries, you had some comments?
Briefly, I've kind of asked Ann before, did she want myself or Supervisor Spiegel to go speak with Barney Barnett to bring back the High Grove Metrolink location?
I believe that's now your area, Supervisor Jeffries.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Excellent. All right. And with that, we go to item 8, Executive Director's Report. Ann, do you have any good news for us?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Commissioners. This evening from 5:30 to 7 p.m., we will be hosting a public information meeting on the I-10 Highland Springs Interchange Project. That is a project that RCTC is taking the lead on for the cities of Banning and Beaumont. So we'll be hosting that this evening, 5:30 to 7 at the Chatney Senior Community Center on Oak Valley Parkway in the city of Beaumont. So that's this evening, if anyone is interested in attending. We sent out the information last week, but if you would like, give us a call and we'll be happy to give you the details on that meeting. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, any commissioners have any comments? All righty, then that is going to bring us to adjournment. I would, although I don't have all the fancy fun stuff to say, I would like us to adjourn in honor of Ted Hoffman from Norco Corona, council member who, I've sat next to for several years, bantering about, having great conversations about things in transportation and the buses and all kinds of good stuff. So we'll miss him dearly. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting.
Brian, can you?
Yes.
Kathy Allman's on the phone from Norco, if she'd like to chime in on anything on that.
Absolutely, please do.
No, just want to appreciate you for recognizing Councilmember Hoffman, and I join you under unwanted circumstances. So I'll work hard to fill his shoes, and I really appreciate the kind words that folks have been sending to our city. Definitely will miss all of his hard work for Norco and for the region. So thank you very much for recognizing him, and it's an honor to adjourn.
And thank you for those kind words as well. And our next meeting will then be on Monday, March 27th, 2023 at 1:30. This meeting stands adjourned at 1:58. Thank you all.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Chair. Rest in peace, Ted.